Alright, so today what we are going to walk through is Inventor, and I'm going to show you guys the different tools, how to navigate throughout Inventor, how to save, how to delete lines, really do all of the basic things you need to know how to do. So, first off, when you open up Inventor, this is what you see. You have your different options here that you can open up. You have your recent files you've worked on here, and you have a couple items in your toolbar up here. So whenever we create a new object in Inventor, we are going to create a new part. So right here, if you hover over it, it says new part, and so I'm going to go ahead and click that. So this will be the process you will take every time you are starting a brand new part. If you start a part in one class period and then you come back the next day, in order to open up that part you've already worked on, you're going to have to go File, Open. And then you're going to have to go find your file wherever it is at that you saved it. So here is Inventor, and this gray portion is where you will eventually begin to build your item. So I want you to imagine creating on Inventor, like creating a drawing in your notebook or something on the lines of that. So before you can do anything with it, you have to create a sketch. So we're going to go up here in the top left corner and click Start 2D Sketch. So right now, if you want to get to the point that I am at, you may, but once I let you know to take your hands off your computer and solely listen, please do that as well. So the planes are different planes that you can begin to build off of. We're just going to stick with the XY plane in our classroom. So here I have my y-axis, and here I have my x-axis. So now I'm ready to start creating. So up here on the top toolbar, yours may look a little bit differently. Mine updated, so all of my tools are compressed under headers. So under Create, or just above on your toolbar if you see it, you will see these different tools. So right now, I want you to take your hands off your computer, and I want you to solely listen and watch the video. After I go through these, I will then have you go through them with me again. So here we're going to start with line. So you can go up and click line. You can also click the L on your keyboard for a shortcut. So you see how the cursor snaps to the center point with a green dot. Okay, that lets you know you're right on the crosshair of the X and Y axis. So I'm going to start there. So I'm just going to click. You notice as I move my line, I have two boxes with numbers in them that are constantly changing. So I am going to put my line straight up. So I know that my current line is perfectly perpendicular to the x-axis because it says 90 degrees in the white box. Okay, the blue box is how long my line is. So I want a line that is exactly 2 inches long. So I'm going to hit 2 on my keyboard and click Enter. I now have a line that is 2 inches long. Okay, I'm going to do that around to get a perfect 2 by 2 square. So I am clicking and clicking. Okay, one thing I want you to notice when using our tools is you need to click, let off, move it, and then click to place it again. Do not click and drag. So right now I click, my hand is completely off my mouse, I'm moving my mouse. Now I'm going to either click the mouse to place it or type in a value and hit Enter. Now I'm going to click to place, click to place. So I did not click and drag. Okay, in order to delete a line, there's a couple different options. The first option is you can click it and click delete on your keyboard. Or you can click and drag and highlight if you need to delete multiple lines and then click delete. Or you have the option to right click on a line and a window pops up and you can go up to delete. So there's a few different ways to delete a line. Okay, so let me get back to the tools. So our second tool is a circle tool. So this tool, wherever you click, that number in the box is the diameter of your circle. So if I need a circle with a diameter of 2, I would type 2 and click enter. Okay, once again, I let go of my mouse, and now I move my mouse, and then I click to place it. If you click to place it, it's not going to be given a specific dimension. So in order to give it a dimension, if we come up here to our Constrain tab, I can click on Dimension. This allows me to then click back on that circle and tell my circle exactly what size I want it. So I can type in just a perfect 3, hit enter, and it updates it. Okay, our next tool is an arc tool. So the arc tool, you would select the 2 corners of your arc, and then you would go and select the top center point of your arc. So I am going to type in 1.5, so it is a perfect 1.5 arc. Our next tool is the rectangle tool. So this one, once again, you click, let go, and move your mouse, and you can move your rectangle both directions. Notice how I have the 2 boxes again. Both of them represent the length of those sides. So if I want a 3 by 3 square, I'm going to type in the number 3, but instead of clicking enter, I'm going to hit the tab key and type in another 3. Then I can hit enter and it'll be a perfect 3 by 3 square. Okay, let's try it again, and let's pretend I type in a 1 and accidentally hit enter before I do the other side. Okay, same thing. I'm going to come up here and get my dimension tool and click the line I want to dimension, then click to place the dimension, then edit the dimension. So there's a couple different ways you can change the size of your objects, and a couple different ways you can delete them. So I am going to delete a couple items, and then I'm going to show you a couple different things. So if I have a tool on my cursor, let's say I have the circle tool, and I am looking to delete everything. If I click and drag, I just made a circle. So in order to clear my cursor of any tool that is on it, I need to hit the escape key on my keyboard. So watch how my cursor goes from being this point with a yellow. I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard, and it turns back to a pointer. So if you ever need to clear your cursor of any tools, which I use very, very often, you'll hit escape on your keyboard. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag and delete a couple items. Okay, so next I'm going to take these 2D items and turn them into 3D. So there's a couple steps before we get there. So first of all, I am in sketch mode. Okay, there's something called sketch mode, and the reason I know this is because there's a green check mark up here. Okay, so I'm going to click Finish Sketch. I am no longer in sketch mode. That green check mark is not up here. Okay, so right now I could not add to my drawing. Okay, I could not add to my sketch. If I needed to edit this sketch, let's say I needed to get rid of this center circle, to go back in and edit my sketch, I find out what sketch it is. So over here is eventually, once you start making lots and lots of steps, all of your steps will be listed over here. I'm going to highlight the sketch that turns it white because that lets me know those lines are in that sketch, and I'm going to double click it. Once I double click it, I'm back in sketch mode. So I'm going to click this circle and delete it. Now I'm going to go back to finish sketch. So I am going to now extrude my circle and my square to make them 3D. So I'm going to hit the extrude tool under create. And now, I don't think you can see the window that popped up in my video, but now there's a window that popped up for extrude. So I am going to click my circle and click on my square because I have to tell Inventor the items I want to extrude. Then there's a couple different buttons in the window and they change the direction of the extrusion. So you'll notice that they just went the other way. Okay, when you have an extrusion on an item, you can also cut out a space. You can also change how far you want it to extrude. So let's just go with this. I did 5 inches. Okay, so you'll notice I now have a 3D cylinder and a 3D box. Okay, in order to move my screen around, there's a couple different ways you can move about the screen. So up here in the little right-hand corner, there's a little box. That will take you around the different sides of your object. So if you remember me when we were taking notes over measurement, I had you draw a box that said front, right, and top. Because it's very important to understand that this is the front of my object, this is the right side. Okay, you can click and drag on this box to move it around like this. You can also scroll the middle scrolly thing on your mouse to zoom in and out. If you click and drag the scrolly thing on your mouse, you can drag your screen. So those are a couple different ways that you can move around your object. Okay, so let's say I needed a hole in these items. In order to put a hole on these items, that is now a new sketch. So I am going to create a new sketch. And I have to tell Inventor what side I want to sketch on. And this makes a big difference. If you do not choose the correct side, your sketch is not going to work. So if I want a hole that is going through these objects the long way, I'm going to sketch on this face, draw a circle, and cut it out. So let's just create a quick circle. Okay, let's say those are exactly where I wanted it. I'm going to click Finish Sketch. So you now see that I have a second sketch, which is okay because that's what I wanted. So I'm going to extrude these. Notice how they are going out in a direction I do not want them. I want them to be a hole through the object. So I am going to hover over a button on the extrusion window that looks like a printer and click Cut. And it takes them through my item. Then I click OK, and this is what I have. Okay, I'm going to open up a new part, and then I want you guys to walk with me, and then I'm going to have you pause to watch something, and then you're going to walk with me again. So I went to File, New. I want a new standard part. Click Create. Okay, so I want you guys to get to the point where I'm at. If you need to pause the video to get there, go ahead and pause the video to get there. Otherwise, we're going to go up and you are just going to do this with me. If you have to pause the video and rewind it, please do so. So I'm going to go up to Start 2D Sketch. I'm going to select the XY plane, and then I'm going to start with the Line tool. So, select Line tool. We are going to create a 4x4 box. So my line is perfectly perpendicular to the x-axis. I'm typing a 4 and enter. And I'm doing that all the way across into a box. Okay, I'm now going to take a circle and I'm going to make a 4-inch diameter circle. I'm now going to grab the rectangle and make a 5. Click Tab by 5 rectangle. So you should have on your screen what I have on my screen. So, once you get to this point, I want you to freeze, take your hands off the mouse, and solely listen, because this is the thing that students do very, very often, and it can make or break your sketch. So, solely listen and watch. So I'm going to pretend that the day's over. This is partially my work. I'm not quite done. So when the day's over, we save it. And how you guys save it is you go File, Save. You guys will then find your G drive. Okay? And you are saving it to your G drive. Every time you save an object, you have to type your first and last name dash whatever object you are doing. So right now, if I were to save this one, I am titling it Jessica Kingston Learning Inventor. Okay, and you would click Save. Then, when you walk in my classroom tomorrow, you would go File, Open, and you would go find your file. Now, you have to, in order to get back to this current sketch of the square, circle, and square, you have to double click on the sketch on the left hand side that you want to go back in and edit. If you start a new sketch every day you walk into this room, let me show you what's going to happen. So I'm going to pretend that I actually needed a rectangle to the other rectangle, a rectangle over the circle. So I grab my rectangle tool. Now your first cue is going to be that your cursor does not snap to a green dot in that corner. Okay, it's not connecting to your other sketch. That should be your first clue. Then when you go to actually make it, it looks like it is all together, but it's actually not. So I want you to imagine that your sketch 1 is on a clear sheet of paper, okay, and you wrote on it yesterday. And then today, you grab another clear sheet of paper and you put it on top and you start creating sketch 2. But when you need to go delete something in sketch 1 or erase something in sketch 1, you can't. Okay, the only thing you can erase is the object in sketch 2 because that's your top piece of paper. So, I'm no longer in sketch mode, but you see I have 2 sketches over here in my list of steps that I've completed, kind of like my key. So if I hover over sketch 1, the lines that are white are the sketch that are on my first piece of paper, okay, or in sketch 1. When I go to sketch 2, That white rectangle is the only thing in sketch 2. So these are not connected. They're not communicating with each other. Okay, so you have to make sure before you are done with the sketch, you don't start a new one. For example, when you guys start creating your linking cubes, you will notice that if you sketch everything first and extrude part of it, the rest of your sketches will be deleted. So, when you sketch part of it and you extrude it, then you can create a second sketch. So right now, if I were to have spent a whole day on sketch 2 and a whole day on sketch 1, half of my work has to be deleted and redone because I can't just combine these two. So we have to right-click on sketch 2 and delete it. Then we can go back into sketch 1 and finish it and make it how we wanted it. So I want you to click Finish Sketch, and then I want you to double click on sketch 1 to go back into that sketch, and I want you to add something. Add maybe a couple more rectangles, add a circle, whatever it is you want to add. Okay, pause the video and add something. Okay, once you have added something, I then want you to click Finish Sketch, and I want you to try to extrude it. So you're going to go up to Create, you're going to click Extrude, and you are going to select the objects you want to extrude, and you are going to set a distance and extrude them however you want to. And once it's extruded, I want you to take your hand off the mouse and then come back to listening. So, right now, I want to show you one more thing because this happens all the time. So, if I am in sketch mode, okay, it's the end of the day, the 5-minute bell just rang, and I go File, Save. This error pops up, and I don't know if you can see it in the video, but it says you cannot save part 3 in sketch mode. Would you like to exit sketch mode and continue saving? You can click OK. If you click cancel, your part is not saved. So you click OK, and then your save window pops up. Once again, you find your G file, and then you title it your name dash whatever project you are creating in Inventor. Back to saving. You guys are really used to having Google automatically save everything for you, which is great and it is very, very handy. But Inventor does not save anything for you. In fact, I highly recommend saving very often because if your computer freezes and you have to restart, it is not saved. So, at this point, you should have created something similar to what I have on my screen. You should have extruded into a 3D object, and you should have saved. Because right now, if you have not saved, I want you to go File, Save, find your G file, and save it with your name dash Learning in Inventor would be an appropriate name. Now at this point, this video is complete. If you have any questions about anything you've seen in Inventor, please turn on your blue light right now and ask me.